Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking you through a little walkthrough of When the Sun Goes Down and just show you a few of the main elements and how they were done, and then I'll also go through the vocal processing a little bit. Okay, so let's get started. First I'm just going to play a short section of this so that you can hear what we're working with if you haven't heard the song already. Right, so let's just start at the top. So first up we've got a pad, and this pad is done in Omnisphere. I just had to freeze everything because my CPU struggles to play this project back, probably because of all the vocals. But yeah, it's an Omnisphere patch, and let's just check out which one it is. Sacred Shrine. And I don't think I touched the processing at all inside the plugin. And here's all the processing I did outside of Omnisphere, so just a bit of EQing, some saturation, and yeah, a bit more EQ. And that sounds like this. So like you probably wouldn't even notice it in the song because it's so far in the background, but it definitely does help. And then here's the main sort of melody that runs throughout the track, and it sounds almost like a piano, but it's actually a Diva preset. I think I just made that. Oh no, it's this Bound to Divide Pluck Earth. I think that's from my Diva preset pack. I think that's the one that's on PML. Yeah. So it's this Earth one, and I might have changed some of the settings here. I can't really remember, but anyway, that's what it looks like. And I'm just processing it with a bit of EQ and adding some delay and a bit more EQ. So I really wanted it to be kind of dark and pushed to the back a bit. That's why I was rolling so much off, because we have this vocal that's occupying all the space up here, so I kind of wanted this to sit underneath it. Okay, and then we have this ARP, which I called Crazy ARP. I don't know why I call it Crazy ARP, it's not that crazy. So yeah, let's just unfreeze that and check it out. So this is the MIDI, so it's really just arpeggiating between two patterns here. Yeah, you can see this is basically the A section, and then this is the B section, and the only difference is over here we're moving from this G sharp down to the F sharp, and the rest of the notes stay the same. And that just runs through in the background. Again, kind of, it's more of a subtle sound, but that's again just because we have this vocal in there that's taking up so much space. I think it gets louder towards the end of this drop, and then I think it's even louder here. You can hear it more clearly, and that's because I'm automating some stuff here. I think we've got an auto filter, and I'm also using the input gain here on Pan-Man to distort it. So here we go. If we have a look at this, I love using Soundtoys, the input and output controls to distort stuff. So if you overdrive the input, it gives you this like really nice distortion usually. Compare that to this. And the Pan-Man's also doing a little bit of panning. I also automated the output gain because as we drive the input up over here, the signal gets louder, so I was just compensating for that. Let's go back a little bit here and have a look at the actual preset. So here's another Bound to Divide preset. You see, I do use my own stuff. And this is Pluck Duck. And that's also from the PML preset pack. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. If you wanted to copy that down, you can. But there's quite a lot of external processing happening. So here we have Decapitator, which is just saturating a bit. Then RC20 for a bit of wobble, and magnetic, and that's just kind of modulating it and creating a bit of movement in the sound. And then I'm going into Relife. I have a review on my channel about what this plugin does, but basically it almost like scoops the mids and lifts the lows and the highs, and gives you, like, cleans up the mid-range of sounds quite well. So I just love the sound of it, and I throw it on anything that sounds muddy and it seems to fix it. So without that, you can hear it's like pushing the sound, the mid-range back. So it's pushing the ARP further back in the mix, but it's also like controlling those resonances. And I guess by controlling the resonances, that's what's pushing it back, because all the presence is being almost lost, which was intentional, again, to make room for the vocal. Then I've got the shimmer, and I don't think that's doing anything. Nope, shimmer's not doing anything. The dry wet's at 0, so I could probably just delete that and save some CPU. And then I'm using this auto filter, which is just opening up over time, so that over here we're much brighter than over here. And then a delay, just doing some 3/16ths. And I've also offset the left and right using this percentage here. I set it to 1%, so the left and the right are kind of out of time, and then you get a wider delay without having to use ping pong, which can often be a little bit too wide. And sometimes I just don't like the sound of ping pong delay, so this is a way to make the delay wide without using ping pong. Alright, and then we have this additional lead, which I'm pretty sure you can barely hear. Yeah, it's so back in the mix that you can barely even hear it. I think over here there's a section. I think it's kind of following this main lead over here. Yeah, it's got the same MIDI. So I guess I was just trying to add some atmosphere to that lead. And this is a preset called Square Sync Lead, and that's in analog. Going into some delay, and then we've got a shimmer on there at 84%, so it's really, really washed out. And then we've got this pluck, which I think is landing pretty much on the snare. Yeah, that's right. It's landing on the snare, and so making the snare a little bit more tonal. And that is in Vital. Let's check out the preset. This is from my Vital preset pack. It's called Oceans Lead Bright. Yeah, and that's what it looks like. Nothing too fancy, it's pretty much just a saw wave with some white noise. Got some white noise, and we're doing a bit of saturation, but like dynamically. A bit of EQ in there, and then reverb and delay. And then on this channel strip here, I've got saturator, And we don't think we're doing any EQ there. And then just this filter to open it up throughout the track. Alright, then we have this piano. And these are just playing the chords of the track. So it's a really simple chord progression. And I use this chord progression in a lot of tracks. It always works for me. And yeah, so you'll hear this in, I think, same chord progression I use in Coming Home. But if you finesse it just right, nobody notices. So there's nothing wrong with using the same chord progression. I think I read an interview once many years ago with Illenium, and he said that like 90% of his songs follow the same chord progression, and nobody notices. Yeah, and then over here we have the piano doing like a bit of a little melody in the breakdown kind of thing, like these little runs. I think the piano is still pretty much in the background, yeah. Yeah, it's still quite in the background, but it's there and it's like supporting the vocal. And I know life. So the piano I'm using is this Norfelt piano. I use it like, it's pretty much the only piano I ever use. I just love the sound of it. And so what I do with this piano is I tend to bring down the velocity like halfway. And it makes the piano like nice and dark, but it also, you lose a lot of gain, so that's why I put a utility afterwards and I just boost to 10 dB. And then I'm cleaning up some of the mud in the piano. And then we're going into a delay, and that's it. A little bit of compression against the kick drum, but I don't think it's that much. Yeah. Okay, so here is the bass. So the bass has two layers. We've just got a clean, like, basic subsine preset here. That's a preset from Ableton, but you can control some of the parameters. So I don't think it looks like this when you load it up. So I just added some distortion, and I didn't use any of the other macros. And then I'm rolling off the mid-range. And the reason for this sub is really to just give a nice stable fundamental to the bass, because this main bass, this mid bass, is a respace and it phases a lot, so we want a nice stable sub. So you'll see here I've taken out that low end and most of the high end too, and we just like really containing this here at around 200 hertz. Together it sounds pretty cool, I think. So yeah, the main bass is in Serum, and here I'm using 2 analog sine waves and using the sync window half and just bring it up a touch, and then it gives you this really nice warm like old school Reese. And you got to just detune these from each other, so using the fine tune, this one's at -19 and this one's at +27. And it's a super simple patch. There's no other processing on it. A bit of saturation here. Saturation helps quite a lot, I think. Yeah, kind of really gives some presence to this mid-range and saturates it. And yeah, that's it. Super simple patch, but really effective, I think. And the bass is just following those chords. I think there might be some portamento. No, not on this one. And then I got this vocal hit, which just goes through like this. And that's from a sample pack. PLDHV3. I don't remember what sample pack that is, but it's just like a little chop from there. And then we've got a little bit of EQ on that. And Valhalla Vintage Verb. 6 seconds of decay on it. And that's pretty much running through the whole track.
I'm tired, but I'm wide awake.
Okay, let's get into the drums. So, just having a look at the kick. The kick is this Vengeance breakbeat kick 05, which I use in most of my breakbeat stuff. I think it sounds really nice. All I do to it is boost the low end of it, because it doesn't have much low end in it. So just give it a bit of a punch over there. And just having a look at the MIDI, I've got these like little ghost notes. And I turn down the velocity when they hit, just so that it doesn't feel like, it feels a little bit more human when you have the ghost kicks at a lower velocity. Then I have another one here. And I've also got these little reverse kicks. These kicks they kind of just like lead you in after these short breaks. And so I just resampled the kick drum and then reversed it. Oh, this is a different kick actually. Kick 808 kick. Yeah, let's check out the clap. So the clap is made up of 3 layers. First one is this Bound to Divide clap, which is from my my claps pack. I think, what is it called? Gluten-free claps. And yeah, I got a little bit of a few little ghost hits in this as well. And the next layer is this one, which is just a 909 snare to give it some low end. And then the third layer is Snappy 08 from that same pack. So here we got 03 and 08. So altogether, with the break, we get a nice snare. The hi-hats, we've got this main offbeat hi-hat, which is a 909 hat. And here I'm doing this, using this random LFO to generate random pitches for this hi-hat, so that each time it hits, it's at a slightly different pitch and it just feels a bit more human. I learned this trick, shout out to Anama, learned this trick from him. And we're also doing some random panning. But yeah, the panning's not that much, it's only on 4%, but it is still moving very slightly. If you're in headphones, you probably notice it. So I'm also taking out some of the mid-range from this hat because it's quite a techy sounding hat. And this is just my channel strip. It's nothing is being used on it, I don't think. Yeah. And then we have this real hi-hats loop. So I just cut out like a section from it and made my own loop out of it, and I think it just adds a bit more of a human element to the drums. If I had to take it out and just solo the drums. Yeah, it's those open hats, they just add so much of a human element to the loop. And I don't think I processed those at all either. Okay, then we go into this percussion group. I don't know why I called it percussion, because it's really just breaks, chopped up breaks. So So this is from another sample pack called Hit Kit, and here I'm just using the clip automation to take out the snare because I don't like the sound of the snare layered with all the other things I have, the clap and the snare from the other break. But I just like the shuffle in it, so I think it adds quite a lot to the break. Let's listen to how it sounds with and without that. Yeah, it helps quite a lot. Okay, then we've got this think break. I think I use this in every single track on this EP in some way, but I think I kind of like changed the pitch of it and chopped it up in different ways. But I just love the sound of like the tambourines in this loop and the snares. I think originally it sounds like this. Okay, I think. Yeah, that's how it sounds originally. So I take out the kick and then I just kind of chop it up in my own way. And then I don't think I'm doing there's no EQ or anything on it. Then I've got this top loop, which is just another tambourine to kind of like back this one up. Okay, and then we have this crash. Good old Cashmere crash that I always use. I love this crash. Alright, okay, so the vocals, let's have a look at those. The vocals were quite a number over here. So I did a short kind of breakdown on my Instagram about this, but it looks like a ton of tracks because of this choir. And when I received this folder with all of these, yeah, there's tons of them. With all of these files from Lauren, I like kind of crapped myself. But it wasn't difficult to mix. All I really did with this choir was to basically drop them in. I didn't touch the volumes because they're already at the right volume. I didn't have to EQ them or anything. I just panned stuff around to put them, just make the whole thing feel a bit wider. So you can see they're just being panned in alternate directions at different places in the stereo field. And a lot of them are like just retakes of each other. So like this one is... Sorry, I don't know why my PC can't deal with this section. Okay, so they're all just like separate takes, and Lauren told me that she was basically just standing at different positions in the room to like almost emulate someone recording a choir, right? There's going to be people standing in different places in the room, and so you got to kind of emulate that by recording yourself standing further from the mic, right, left from it. And then she also did different things like changing her voice up and down, blocking her nose, making like nasal versions just to sound like a whole bunch of different people singing. And all together it just sounds really good. And so I did process the group. I did a bit of compression here using Lala. This is again by Analog Obsession, which is just an emulation of the LA2A hardware compressor. And so this is just doing like 5 dB of compression. And then going into this convolution reverb. I think I actually have my whole chain on this, which is pretty long, and I guess that's probably why my PC is struggling. So then I'm going into Soothe. When the sun goes down, when the sun goes down, when the sun goes down. Yeah, so that's like de-essing it quite a lot. And then I've got these two chains here, one's wet and one's dry, and so this is the wet chain, and on the wet chain I've got shimmer and a delay, and just a bit of EQ here to take out a bit more of the mid-range. that's not really doing anything. I was trying out vocoders and stuff on it just to see if I could get some cool effects, but that wasn't successful. Yeah, and then into this convolution reverb, which is also EQ'd quite drastically. This PC is struggling.
When the sun goes down.
Yeah, and I think, am I compressing this? Yeah, so this wet chain you can see here, it's being side chained to itself, to the dry chain. So the wet chain's side chain to the dry chain. So when the vocal's playing, the reverb ducks out the way of it.
When the sun goes down.
And then fades in. So you get this really like clean reverb because it's not washing over the dry signal too much. And I think the processing was pretty much the same on all the other channels, except for the main vocal. So the main vocal channel, I think Lauren actually sent me a wet stem that she had processed herself, and it sounded pretty good, so I just used it.
I don't know where you've gone, and you never told.
Yeah, so this is actually her processing on the main vocal, which sounds really good. I just added this EQ and a black hole reverb. I think that gets mixed in.
A vision and you're gonna get.
Where is that? Just over here. So like when we go into this breakdown.
When the sun goes down.
Yeah, so we get this really nice long tail. Yeah, so I've also got this vocal reverb send set up over here, and that's also adding some additional wetness to the already wet stem. So the way I've done this is probably not advisable, taking a wet stem and then adding even more reverb to it, but I just thought it sounded cool, so I used it. So yeah, this is the vocal verb channel here. So I've got black hole reverb on it and some delays, and I think they're being mixed in. Let's just see these delays. Yeah, so the delays turned on over here through this section. It's also being compressed. So it's basically just filling in the gaps between the phrases, because I thought it just sounded a bit dry between phrases. And then I'm doing something similar here where we've got this vocal delay set up, and I'm sending the vocal briefly to this delay just through this section so that the gaps between these phrases get filled in.
In darkness I can see your face.
It's really quiet, but it does help fill in those gaps. So that's got Echo Boy on it. We've got quarter note delay on that, and then we're going into EQ8 to kind of just roll off the high end and push these delays to the back of the mix. Some auto pan to pan them around, and shimmer to wash it out, and then sidechain, just to sidechain it to the main vocal. So yeah, I think the processing on the other stuff is similar to the choir, so let's just quickly check that out. So here we've got backing vocals. And I left these vocals quite dry. So yeah, we're doing a similar thing to the choir here, compressing it a bit. I've got this Brit channel here where I'm kind of just boosting the high end a bit, and this is another analog obsession. This is when I just discovered analog obsession, so I was just using everything. I also used the preamp here, just boosting the gain because it sounds so good on this plugin. And yeah, so then we're going into convolution reverb and just EQing it a bit. These are backing vocals, so I didn't want them to like sit on top of the main vocal. Really, it's just like thickening up the vocal.
Never told me what was.
And so yeah, those are all the backing ones, and then we've got these highs. And this is like, I'm pretty sure Lauren pitched these up. If she can sing that high, I'll be really impressed. But I don't know, maybe she is singing it. It sounds like it might be pitched. I'm not sure. Maybe she'll comment and let us know. So yeah, these are again just like adding some high into the vocal. Everything below that main vocal is really just enhancing it. And did I process this at all? Nope, I left it. Oh yeah, so I got the same processing. Exactly the same. So we're going la la, and then we're going Brit channel here, and convolution reverb, same as before. And then there's some ad-libs here. So that's all got the same processing. And then we've got these lows, and I'm guessing that's just going to be an octave below. So I did process these all a little differently. So I've EQ'd this one, this vocal synth, brought out a little bit of around 1 to 2K. And this one, no processing, but some panning right, and this one panning left. And the same processing here. We are automating gain here though. Why is that? Oh, I think it looks like I just wanted these sections to be louder than the intro. And then we've got this reverse vocal. Not super interesting. I just basically make a long reverb tail and reverse it. I'm sure you've seen that done 1,000 times before. If not, you can Google how to make reverse reverbs. It's pretty easy. Oh yes, and then I forgot about this vocal chop. That sounds like this. So there's this section in the track that had nothing happening in it, but I felt like I needed something to be there, and I didn't want to add like a new lead. So I took the vocal and just chopped up certain bits of it and ran it through, I think, an amp. Yes, an amp here, just to like really distort it. And yeah, that fills in this section really nicely, I think. So the amp does a lot here. If I turn off the amp and the saturation, you'll hear this. yeah, so the amp distorts the living crap out of the vocal. And then I got even more saturation here. And then we're going into this EQ and kind of making it sound almost like, you know, a telephone kind of effect where it's distorted, but it doesn't have a lot of high end. And then going into 2 delays. Okay, and then the master that I have in here doesn't really matter because the label mastered it, but I'll just show you how I mastered it. I've got these split EQs turned off because the project, I just couldn't screen record while having these on. My CPU can't deal with it. But when I sent this to the label for mastering, I actually really only turned off the maximizer here because I really liked what the split EQ was doing to the mix. I think it's almost treated my master like a pre-master. So using Real Life here with the shape function just turned up to 20% to kind of clean up the mid-range. And then going into Fab Filter and rolling off the low end and just cleaning up a little bit of the high end. Come on, PC. Okay, my PC can't deal with this. You're just going to have to look at this for now. So yeah, I'm just cleaning up a bit of like resonance here in the high end. And then going to this EQ, which is not doing anything. Then these split EQs. So I'm boosting the transients on the snare pretty much, or on all the snares together, snares and claps. And also a little bit of the transients on the high end are being boosted, and the transient on the kick is being boosted, but the sustain of the kick is brought down a little bit. Oh, not just the kick, the entire bass channel. Entire bass band of the Premaster. And I would show you, I would A-B it, but my PC just can't deal with this. But it definitely sounded better with it on. And then here I'm kind of just rolling off a little bit. I'm not sure why I did that. I don't usually do that. Maybe I was just experimenting. But I don't generally recommend people roll off high end. I know lots of people do, but most mastering engineers will tell you not to do that. And then, yeah, my standard limiter. I use the Ozone limiter. It's only doing a little bit of limiting, but that was switched off when I sent it off for mastering. So yeah, I think I left on everything but the maximizer. All right, so that's it for this. I think only thing I didn't touch on here was this channel, which is just some reverb for my snares. And that's just a 1.28 second Ableton stock standard reverb on high quality. And I'm filtering out the low end and the high end. And it's honestly so quiet that you might be able to feel it slightly if I had to solo the drum group, but I don't think it's doing much. Yeah. Alright, so hopefully you learned something from this breakdown. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't checked out the EP, make sure you go and check it out on Spotify or whatever your preferred streaming platform is. And yeah, I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks. Bye.